What is going on, chess YouTube? So in this video, I want to show you a simple trick you can use that makes chess so incredibly easy, and that simple trick is not blundering your pieces. And now I know that sounds so obvious, but it's really not, because people even at the 1900 ELO level on chess.com are blundering their pieces left and right, as we're about to see. And if you can just stop doing that in your own games and capitalize on your opponent's blunders, you will win so many games. All right, in the game, white opens 1 to e4, and I open e5 as black. Then we have knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, and I go for the Berlin defense to white's Roy Lopez opening, my favorite opening these days as black, against 1 e4. Now here, white castles. That is one of the two main moves. Castling and d3 are nowadays considered the main lines for white. White castles, and I take the pawn on e4, knight takes e4. So far, so good. Rook e1 attacks the knight on the e4 square. Knight d6 attacks the bishop, and white's going to have to do something about it. Now, of course, he doesn't have to take on c6 or retreat the bishop yet. Instead, he can take on e5. The point being, if I take the bishop, then white's going to have ideas like knight takes c6 check, which, you know, trust me, you don't want to get this kind of game as black here, because you're effectively cooked here. So instead, bishop e7 is the main move, blocking the e-file and renewing the threat against the bishop on b5. That bishop is now hanging, as if white ever takes on c6. I could take back with, say, the b-pawn, the d-pawn, and I'm doing fine. So here, white plays a move which actually really throws me off. The two moves I see most commonly in online chess, number one, are bishop takes c6, which is not a good move at all. It's actually very, very bad for white. Beyond that, bishop f1 is, of course, the main line here for white. The point being, you retreat the bishop back to a very good square, and white is a little bit ahead in development, but black overall should be okay if he plays precisely. Now here, white goes for option number 3, which, again, I don't see very often. Knight takes c6. This is really interesting. All right, I take back with the d-pawn, and white goes bishop f1. So we get something that is actually quite similar to the main line. The main line, of course, being here just something like bishop f1, knight takes, rook takes, castles. This is perhaps the main line here. Instead, we get this position here, which is actually pretty similar. I castle, but the main difference is white is captured on c6, and I've taken back with the d-pawn. Now, who does that benefit? Actually, it benefits me maybe a little bit, as these pawns aren't that weak. White still can't make a pass pawn on the queen side, and beyond that, it does open up the scope for this bishop, and beyond that again, I don't have to waste a move going, say, d5, moving this knight, and so on. So black's development here is actually pretty easy, and according to the engine, this should be dead equal here already on move 8. Not a bad outcome as black in the opening. All right. d4, rook e8, c3, and then bishop to f8. My idea so far, I transfer over the rook, drop back the bishop. Not a bad idea per se, but turns out there were some potentially better ways to play here. Now, bishop f4, and here I've got to find the right idea. It turns out trading rooks here, according to the engine, is the right idea. You take on e1, white takes back, you go queen f6, target the bishop, maybe go a5, a4, and so on, and black should be okay here. Instead, I go bishop to e6. Now, this plan that I am pursuing is actually quite good when white takes on c6 with the bishop in this opening. But when white takes on c6 with the knight, it turns out this is not quite as strong, so I will be going back to the drawing board, looking up, ideas here, and trying to find the most precise way to shut down this plan by white. But anyway, in the meantime, this is how I played in this game. So, knight d2 is the move, queen to d7. My idea, getting the mini battery of the queen and the bishop. I'm trying to, make simple moves here, but overall, white does seem to have a slightly more pleasant position. All right, h3. Now here I go for this move f6, and this turns out to be maybe a little problematic. Again, when white gives up his light squared bishop for the knight on c6 instead of the knight for the knight, in that case, f6 works very, very well. The idea being you control e5, you control g5, this knight gets shut down, and very importantly, in that scenario, white doesn't have this light squared bishop, which means your pawn on h7 is not vulnerable. But here, white finds a very simple plan to target it, and I didn't realize, wait a minute, in this position, this would be problematic. So white goes bishop d3, and then queen to c2, pressuring h7. And again, if white trades this bishop, this plan wouldn't be an option as he wouldn't have a light square bishop. But here he does, and white's got a little pressure. This is actually quite a difficult position I'm in here. But as promised, white's going to blunder, just outright blunder a piece, which, believe it or not, happens all the freaking time at the 1900 ELO level. I'm not kidding when I say that. Almost every game I play, I'm blundering something. My opponent's blundering something. Trust me, if you can just not blunder your pieces, you will be beating 1900 ELO players very, very quickly. All right, here. I go g6, trying to defend. All right, 94. And he's pressuring this pawn on f6. And here I go bishop g7. Turns out that is not the right way forward. Instead, knight takes e4 is the right way forward. But instead, bishop g7. All right, and here white does punish me for my mistake. He plays the move knight c5 with the double attack on the queen and the pawn. Now, this is not a blunder per se on my part, but it is a difficult position. Now, the only way to defend this pawn properly and the queen, I may have to go back to c8. The point being, if I go to, for example, d8, well, I can trade here and then win the pawn. For example, queen d8, bishop takes, c takes, knight takes b7, and so on. And I'm potentially losing a pawn, although technically he can't do it yet as the knight would be trapped. But still, that is the essential idea here. So what do? Well, I try to play it safe. I trade rooks and then go queen c8. The point being, there are no future ideas like that. This is blitz. I'm trying to play it safe. And here, white has a pretty big advantage. All he has to do, this is the strongest line here for white, queen e2, slide over the queen. I may try to drive back the knight or something, but then it goes back into the e6 square. And here, overall, white is doing fantastic. For example, here's one sample line. The queen infiltrates, and white has a very large edge here. If I trade queens, white gets the monster rook on the 7th rank, and overall, white's got the bishop pair and just a better position. So this would be really, really hard to defend. I would not want to defend this into the endgame. But instead, my opponent lets me off the hook. He trades on d6, which, first of all, just a bad strategic idea. He's giving up his bishop, and now I'm going to have the bishop pair, and the bishop pair is a massive asset in these sort of endgame-ish positions. It's not an endgame yet, but we're certainly heading towards an endgame where there's pawns on both sides of the board, which, in that case, these bishops will be very, very strong as they can zip across the board, attacking both sides very fast, and the knight won't be able to do that. So this right here, a big strategic mistake, giving up his bishop pair for literally no reason. And as you can see by the eval bar, the computer not approving that idea at all. And I take back. And here, white is going to show you how, I mean, you know, 1900 ELO is roughly top 1% online on chess.com. So if you're 1900 ELO, you are a top 1% player. You are, by all means, a very strong chess player in the grand scheme of things. At the same time, 1900 ELO players are absolutely awful at chess in the grand scheme of things. And here's why. We blunder pieces. Just look at this move and appreciate how bad this move is. And I mean this with all respect. I blunder pieces too. Chess Advanced GM, if you're watching this, you know, you played a really good game up until here. I'm not trying to pick on you. I make mistakes like this all the time. Obviously, you're, at least in this game, you're higher rated than I am, but it drops a piece. And white resigns on the spot. And I win the game. You can't make this up. 1900 ELO is roughly top 1% on chess.com. If you want to reach top 1%, I can certainly help you get there with my free chess community, free chess course and coaching program and whatnot. But I just want to say, like, if you think 1900 ELO or top 1% chess player is this, like, mythical thing that, like, we play such unbelievable chess that's so hard to comprehend, that's not the full story, because we blunder pieces left and right. And if you can just stop blundering pieces like this and just take the pieces when your opponents blunder them, you will win so many chess games. This is still the #1 way I win or lose a chess game at my current skill level. And I imagine that is still going to be the case at 2000, 2200, 2500. I imagine even then, this is still going to be the #1 way I win or lose chess games. So again, if you can just improve your tactical vision, stop blundering pieces, and take your opponent's pieces when they blunder, I promise you, you will win so many chess games. All right, Chess YouTube, that is all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button. Comment down below what you thought of this game in general. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it beyond just the anti-blundering. I hope I showed you some strategic insights into this opening and the subtleties here, as I am trying to master the Berlin defense against the Roy Lopez opening with knight f6. So this is my journey to trying to master this most important of chess openings. But anyway, that's all for today. As always, I wish you the best of luck in your chess improvement journey, trying to become a top 1% chess player, which, believe it or not, we're not as good as you might think because we still blunder pieces. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.